that. And once again, our beloved Hersha.
Niyom, everyone. Distinguished guests, swamis, ministers, basically my entire beloved Integral Yoga family. Today I was asked to give a tribute. But before I do, I just, as always, need to take a moment to honor my parents, Camila and the late Mohan Haralila, without whom I wouldn't be here. I'd also like to thank my late grandmother, Mohan's mother, Devi Bai Haralila, because if it wasn't for her on the market for a guru, we would never have met Sri Gurudev. And I'm going to share just a collection of stories and a few photos I could get together about a personal history. A little bit more than 50 years of Sri Gurudev's life together with the Haralila family, but more personal, a little bit more about my life with him. So my grandmother, Devi Bai, we call her Ami, she was a very spiritual lady. She was the type of person that even though my family at that time were in extreme poverty, because it was in the middle of World War II, she would give very little to her own children who were starving, but look outside and see homeless children as well and feed them. This has been a practice of hers since the beginning of time. Through good times and bad times, nothing changed. And during World War II, when some of these boys decided to join the Japanese army because it meant food and bed and something better than what they had. And then they got a little bit radicalized and they started to terrorize the communities. They made a secret marking on the door of my family's house. And the family was safe thanks to her. So everybody here, I believe, knows Satish and Vinu. And Satish's father was a great disciple of, father or grandfather, I'm not sure, of Master Shivananda. Father. And it was his father that invited Sri Gurudev, through that connection, to Hong Kong for the first time. And it was a winter in Hong Kong. It was very, very cold. And my family had come out of the tailoring, come out of poverty into the tailoring business. And they were making uniforms for the British Army. So Satish's father decides that the loincloth simply won't do for Sri Gurudev because it's freezing. And he said, I know just the family that would be very happy to make you a coat, and they will get it ready in 24 hours. My dad was 10 at the time. And he tells me this story, and I'm retelling it to you how I remember it. He sees Sri Gurudev walk in like a lion. Those were his words. And he jumps under the counter. And he looks over, and he's just in awe of Sri Gurudev. And of course, the eldest brothers, Dada George and Dada Harry, both of whom are with Sri Gurudev now, they invited them to the home knowing that that's exactly what Ami would have wanted. Because every holy man that ever came to Hong Kong had dinner in our home. And all the times before, it was the grown-ups looking after the holy person that was at home, and the children were off in the background. But as soon as Sri Gurudev walked in, all the children, including my dad, came forward and just surrounded him. Because as you know how Sri Gurudev was with children, he was just incredible. And so that's when Ami declared Sri Gurudev would be our family guru. So I'm going to share some photographs. The first one on your left is Sri Gurudev teaching yoga to Dada George Haralila. He's the eldest of the 6 Haralila brothers. On the top right is my mom and dad with Sri Gurudev in Bangkok. And in the bottom is my dad with Sri Gurudev at the Living Free yoga retreat. I have no idea when that was. But a lot of people... When was that? '79. Yes, it must have been '79. Okay. 1979. I was 2. I was 2. A lot of people have shared stories about the first time that they met Sri Gurudev. I don't remember when that was. I've known him in this physical body for 38 years, but my soul has known him for a lot longer than that. And my father became my first yoga teacher when I was 2, and I have very clear memories of trying to do Sarvangasana with my father. So this is my first time to Yogaville. It was 1985. Now I did go to the Connecticut ashram. I don't have any photos of that. I only remember 2 horses, coffee and sugar. But that's it. I don't even remember Sri Gurudev then. But I remember this trip. I remember going into the Lotus. So it's me with Sri Gurudev, my dad, my mom, and one of my grandmothers. And I don't know who the boy is with my mom. It's probably one of you guys here. But that's me, tucked under Sri Gurudev's arm. And that's kind of my whole life, just tucked under Sri Gurudev's arm. Every time he came to Hong Kong, he wouldn't even have a chance to walk in. He would walk down, and we have a very big foyer in our house with a staircase. And there's maybe 30 children en masse racing who could get to Sri Gurudev first. We never knocked him over unless, of course, he was like, whoa! But we all, at that point, felt like we got the world's biggest hug at the same time. That's Sri Gurudev. That's the foyer. I don't know if he's coming or going, but that's him. I'm the one right at the front in the pink skirt. And these are all my cousins. And we wouldn't let him leave the house. Or when he came in, we just wouldn't give him a chance to unwind. We would just sit and be with him the whole time. Our family has a big temple. We would do yoga in the temple. He would have satsangs just for the children. And he would teach us the same things that he says at satsangs here. This is me with a bunch of my cousins. For those of you that know my little sister Lakshmi, she's the one right in the center. There's 3 of us there that are active yoga teachers. The one on the far right is Tiana, my cousin, and she actually serves at the feet of Sri Muji in Portugal. This is my life with Sri Gurudev. He was Papa, Grandpapa, my best friend. I was very blessed, very lucky that he gave me his phone number. And I could just call him whenever I wanted. And I would call him and tell him all the problems that a teenager would have and a person early in their 20s. And it was only after Sri Gurudev reached Mahasamadhi that my relationship with him changed from something that was very, very informal to something that was very deep. I would dream about him all the time. And whatever he told me to do, both in the body and outside the body, I would just do it. I grew up in the city. When I came to the ashram and there were bugs everywhere, oh my goodness, I couldn't handle it. And Sri Gurudev would just say, put your hands in the flowers, and there's hundreds of bees on these flowers. And I said, well, Gurudev says that nothing's going to happen. I would do it. With Sri Gurudev in the physical body, I was fearless. When he left the physical body, yes, I was dreaming about him. Yes, I was still receiving messages through people, through signs, through nature. But I was frightened. He wasn't physically there to say, do it. Until I actually started to really deepen my practice. And that's thanks to all of you here who were able to nurture that. Up until that point, I had never read the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. I had no idea what they were. But then I started to gain some confidence. I started to gain some belief that actually these messages are no different from when he was in his physical body. And so I took a deep breath and I said, okay, let's try this out. If this is what he says, I'm just going to do it. Just like nothing had ever changed. And so I'd just like to share with you a little bit of the service. It's a small service that we've started in Hong Kong. It actually started very selfishly. I moved back to Hong Kong in 2009, and I started to go to yoga classes. And of course, there were no integral yoga classes. And I said, I need to do a teacher training because then I can go to a class. But what I do is no different from what everyone does around the world. I've had the beautiful privilege of having Melanie as my family, my mother-in-law, and my teacher. And my first 4 years of married life, that's what she was. She trained me in a very, very loving but strict way. And it was the best thing I ever could have hoped for. So in Hong Kong, we started a very small Sangha. We were known as the Gypsy Sangha because we would just go to anybody's house that had a space. And now that is the small room that we do our Hatha classes, our Raja Yoga study. We do some community service. We have a Yoga Sutras and Bhagavad Gita book club. We've done some Karma Yoga in the community. This is us at an association near the China border that looks after the well-being of people who use wheelchairs. We started a prison yoga project in Hong Kong. These are 2 members of our Sangha. But then they left. One went to Sweden and the other one to South Africa. And I truly believe Sri Gurudev has missions for them in those places. This is us doing Karma Yoga work. Every year we go to the slums of Hong Kong where people live in subdivided flats. Families of 4 live in a space of 100 square feet. And they just don't know what to do with their stuff. Some of them are elderly. So before Chinese New Year every year, we clean it out and make it look pretty. That's my husband in the front, in the trolley, Shaman. Melanie comes once a year, and she gives us classes. She also comes to obviously visit family. And this was the latest mantra initiation that happened in Hong Kong. And I'm very pleased to say that my husband and both my kids were there too. And this is the latest group of mantra initiates in Hong Kong as well. We've connected with Satish, and he sends me lots and lots of books. And so we give them away any chance we get. This is us at a wellness fair, and we're giving away Sri Gurudev's books. International Day of Yoga. It's a big event in Hong Kong. It's run actually out of the Indian government, the Consul General of Hong Kong. And he brought together all the yoga schools, all the traditions of yoga schools in Hong Kong. And integral yoga was part of that tradition. And when all the schools came together, as you can imagine, about 30 to 40 different yoga schools all had opinions on how the yoga should be and what the program should be like. And I stepped back, and I was with a couple of my students who are now one of my closest friends, and I said, truth is one, paths are many, we just serve. And we did. We just silently served. And the Consul General at the time, the acting Consul General, turned around and said, the integral yogis know how to serve. And they were the ones who just put aside their egos and were able to make this event go off very silently. And that made me so happy because that was just exactly what Sri Gurudev had taught us. Of course, none of that is possible without all my teachers, my mentors, my guides, my best friends, my yoga family. There's too many people to put all the pictures up. Not all of you are represented there. Yeah, this was the Teacher Trainers Conference 2 years ago. But I'm so blessed to keep meeting members of this family. There's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. If I could sum up my life with Sri Gurudev, it would be that I'm his. He had a chart for my life, and he tried to warn me when I was 8 years old, and I had no idea what that meant. I just said, yes, sure. And that's how I would describe my life with Sri Gurudev. Thank you.